Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of WEEZCAST. Today we are going to be listening to Pinkerton, Weezer's second album, which released in 1996, same year as I was.
You were released?
Yeah, yes. And, it was also declared by Rolling Stones the third worst album of 1996. It's my second least favorite Weezer album. Also, some words from Rivers Cuomo about the album. There are some lyrics on the album that you might think are mean or sexist. I will feel genuinely bad if anyone feels hurt by my lyrics, but I really wanted these songs to be an exploration of my dark side. All the parts of myself that I was either afraid or embarrassed to think about before, so there's some pretty nasty stuff on there, he wrote. With that being said, listener's discretion. Pinkerton does have some dark and interesting themes on it. I don't recommend it for everyone. There's a large portion of it that I don't even like myself. So we're going to go listen to it. And I forgot to introduce us. I'm your host, Aiden Morden, with co-host
Stephen Prindler
and special guest
Jesse.
Caleb is not joining us this week just due to some of the themes of Pinkerton, but he did send in some clips for us to include in it later on. So we're going to go listen to that, and we will be back. All right, we just finished listening to Pinkerton, and now we are going to discuss it. Does anybody in particular want to start?
I could start.
Okay.
So the first song, I don't know about Jesse, but I know that Aiden doesn't particularly like it.
I love sex.
I meant the song.
Oh.
Yeah, I've liked the song since I first heard it. Although I don't like the way that it sounds very much. It's a little bit a little bit too crazy for me, I guess, where he just shouts and they're crashing on the cymbals, which, it's okay. I don't hate it, but it's not my favorite style. But I've always liked kind of the theme of the song. He's saying he's tired of sex, which, if you look at it in its deeper meaning, it's indulging in the desires of the flesh and, like, the things of this world. And when you do that, when you just do whatever you feel like doing, you get tired of it and you feel exhausted and burnt out and like there's no meaning in life because you've been pursuing everything you thought you wanted and it doesn't fulfill. So I've always kind of liked this song because he's singing about that kind of exasperation where he's tired of sex, which, like Jesse said, sex is great. Like, why would you get tired of it? But because without God and without, the hope that we have in Christ and that fulfillment in our lives, sex, among with all the best things in life, are just empty, and they leave us feeling empty.
That's fair.
Sorry for that long spiel.
No, that's quite all right.
That's just.
I feel like I've only listened to the song a handful of times. I've been raised in quite a prude home, and like I don't know, like even just the title is immediately like a put off. Like, oh goodness, I shouldn't be listening to this. But then actually like listening to it and analyzing the lyrics and stuff, kind of what you said, like the noteworthy line in it that I thought was that he's saying that he doesn't want to be having sex, he wants to be making love come true. He's tired of what you're saying. He's tired of just like the meaninglessness of it, and he wants something actually fulfilling. Like he wants an actual relationship and true love. And then as far as the music goes, like it's very like wonky. I really like the bass line. The synth is kind of weird in it. And then just like you're saying with the crashing in it, it's kind of I don't know. It's not nice on the ears. It's
not, but if you kind of try to enjoy it, then
that's fair.
It's, I don't know, you can get into it, the whole craziness.
Like even the way he's singing it just is, I don't know, it's kind of like creepy. I find. What are your thoughts, Jesse?
He's like, if a man could be a whore, pretty well. Like, he's like with every girl. And then he's like, oh, why doesn't it make sense? Oh, like, why can't I be in love? But I mean, he kind of got an issue going on right there. Can't settle down. And it says he's like doing it Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. Like
Different girl's name each time. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of figured out I figured out his problem for him. He just gotta listen to me now, I guess. So
that's
send a note to Rivers.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Jesse solved
for
your
sure.
problem.
Yep. He's a troublemaker.
26-year-old problem. 27.
I don't know how old he was when Pinkerton released.
I meant like since Pinkerton came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 27 years
His
ago.
question? Yeah. Figured it out in about 30 seconds.
All right. Is that it for that song?
I do have one more quick note, actually.
Okay.
I like that this is the first song because of everything I said about it kind of applies to the whole album. Because the whole album is about love and depression and fantasy and regret and all these things that just, seem really, really empty without God. And so that's all.
True. So track 2, Get You. Honestly, the as far as the music goes, the two things that I have written down is it's very rough musically. Like rough as in not good. It's just like sloppy. Like the Blue album is like has a kind of sloppy feel to it, and it's like garage rock and it's raw, but Pinkerton like takes that to the next level. Like he was like like high on something when he recorded it. It just sounds like kind of awful. Like there's parts of it that I like. The solo is really cool. And then lyrically, I like that he says, "You know this is breaking me up. You think I'm some sort of a freak." Which like the thing that I'm getting from that is he's singing "Get You," he wants to get her, like he wants to be with her, but it just like it hurts him inside that she thinks he's a freak. Like he feels like she thinks he's a freak because he feels that sense of rejection. So I think it really just points to kind of like, I know I can personally be that way, where it's like you almost self-loathe because the desire towards you isn't there, but that doesn't make you a freak, but it might make you feel like a freak. So I did like that aspect of the song, but musically it is not one that I listen to very much.
It's interesting because I found this is one of the ones that I found more appealing just musically. I like the sound of it. It's really fun, I think. But I kind of want to hear what Jesse has to say about this one.
Well, I'm trying to... Alright, so for disclosure, I'm not really much of a music person. I don't listen and take it all down. And especially, I'm not a Weezer fan at all.
Welcome
so,
to WEEZCAST.
Yeah, this is interesting. But for one, I think you guys are reading way too far into this. I don't know. I feel like it's not that deep, but it's like a English class in school. It's like I don't care what he ate for dinner at 3 p.m. That's how I feel how you guys are taking it. But you know what? Whatever. Who am I to say, right? And I kind of like just the sound of like just how he was singing this. Just I don't know. Seemed a little fruity. I don't know.
Well, I think that's part of it. You can really feel the pain that he's feeling because he's making you feel it. Because it hurts. A lot of it is really painful to the ears.
Yeah. Jeez. This is a song for Pride Month, not for now.
Well, I honestly can't really tell what this song is about. It seems like some of the lyrics don't make sense to me together. But from what I could tell from the lyrics, it seems like he's regretting, like, it seems like he's being left by someone, but it's his fault. And he's saying, like, hey, I was just kidding. I was just fooling around. Like, saying, like, he's starting to hurt and, like, things are getting serious when he didn't mean any harm, but, like, didn't realize that he was causing harm. I don't know. That's all I can make of it.
That's interesting because that's along the lines of some comments I have concerning another one of the songs.
Oh,
We'll get to it.
Actually, I think I know.
Moving on, provided nobody else has anything else to say about that.
Nope.
To No Other One. This one's a solid tune. Like, musically, it's good. The progression's really enjoyable. His voice doesn't hurt my ear holes. And I think this song's about being so scared that there's nothing better out there for him. So, like, he's settling for this freaky chick who he says, like, is a liar and she does drugs and she's just, like, weird, but he'd rather be with her than be alone.
Yeah.
This time listening to the song, because it's actually not one I've listened to a lot because I don't really like Pinkerton that much. I've grown to appreciate it more the past couple years, but it's certainly down towards the bottom. But this time listening to that song actually made me feel, like, sad for him. Because, like, I've never been in that situation. I've never gotten as far as to be in a relationship before. But, like, that's a sad way to be, like, feeling like this is all there is for me. So I'm going to settle.
Yeah, I have been in that situation before, and it is a sad situation. It's, I feel like my first relationship was one that I felt that way very strongly. Because it's like your first one, you think it's the one. And so you don't think there's anyone else out there for you. Even if this person turns out to be rotten and treat you terribly, like, you just want to stay with them because you think if you're not with them, you're not going to be with anyone. And that's a terrifying thought. So it is a relatable song, and it does sound pretty nice, I think. I feel like it would sound better if it was, like, with softer instruments, like Butterfly and what was the last one called?
Long Time Sunshine.
Long Time Sunshine, which had the piano. Those were, like, softer instrumentally. I think that would have been good with this song as well.
Yeah, I like how you said that, Steven. Yeah, but it's like a therapy session instead of a... I don't know. But, no, it was good. Like how you said, I don't really have too much to say about this one, though. I don't know. Not too much for me to take away other than what Steven said, so good on you.
Well,
should let you go first, sorry.
No.
If you don't have
it's
anything...
not like I would have come up with that.
If you don't have anything to say, then Why Bother, which is the next song, which is definitely one of my favorites. It's one that I've always really, really liked because I feel like it's really relatable for me. And plus it's super groovy and it's super catchy. Like the chorus, the way it's the abrupt hits with the drums and the guitar and the way he's singing it, all of it is just like boom, boom, boom. It really drives home what he's saying. Like, why bother? What is it? Why bother? I didn't write it down, but I know
it's gonna hurt me.
It's gonna kill when you desert me.
Yeah.
This happened to me twice before. It won't happen anymore. Cause like, he's scared of getting hurt again because the other times he's tried to be in a relationship, he was hurt so badly that he's like frozen with fear. That's like he feels like he's better off alone. So I feel like that's something. It's something that probably comes to mind to a lot of people who have been hurt before because nobody likes getting hurt.
Well, unless you're a masochist.
Jesse, would you like to share your thoughts? Next on this one, we'll cut Steven this time.
No, like what you said, if I don't have anything to say, why bother?
Fair enough.
You make a good point.
Yeah, that one's pretty straightforward. I think it is relatable to a lot of people, and it is a fun song. I'd say definitely one of the best songs on the album. It's, even though it's like kind of a sad song, it's really fun sounding, and so listen to it whether you're happy or sad, and it works.
Just a side note concerning this album, it's funny that Jesse is our guest for this because I feel like it's not really a relatable album for him because he has a girlfriend who's fantastic and he's got a great relationship and then there's the two of us who are more like rivers.
We're having a bonding therapy session.
Yeah, over Pinkerton, because that's the thing with Pinkerton actually.
I'm doing good, y'all.
Thanks, he's winning for sure out of the three of us. But That's the thing with Pinkerton. Actually, I found is I always hated Pinkerton. I like straight up didn't like it. Um, but then one time
Sorry.
when I listened to it, when I was so completely like broken and depressed and like at the end of my rope, that's when I truly enjoyed it when I listened to it. And now, even though like a lot of it doesn't sound good, and some of the lyrics are kind of weird on it, I feel like I have a deeper appreciation for it, and can kind of, I don't know if empathize is the right word, I think it is, but I feel like I can kind of empathize or relate to Rivers where he's at in this album, at least with some of the songs.
Yeah, it's definitely a deep, lyrically deep album. It's not just there for to sound good, obviously, because it doesn't sound good a lot of the time. It's
Most of the time.
it's there to just be real and, depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any comments on Across the Sea?
Across the Sea.
The next song to start that off, because I'm just curious if you have anything before I say anything, because it's kind of an odd song.
I love this song.
No, I didn't really write anything down for it. I don't know.
That's fair. It's well crafted musically, but it drags on a little bit too long, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
I've never felt that way. I enjoy it too much. I think from start to finish. Do you want me to go?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I have very little to say about this song.
Oh, well, this one is probably my number one favorite on the album, because to me it just sounds really nice, and a lot of the songs don't, and it's also very romantic, sometimes in a creepy way, but but it's still like he's fantasizing about a relationship with this girl across the sea who wrote him a letter, and it's like the whole idea of him responding to the letter with a song to me is just really romantic and cool. So some of the words, are iffy, but I just like the whole idea of it and the way it sounds.
I guess I would say I would lean more towards the creepy end of things. Like the song starts out, "You are 18-year-old girl," I think.
Well,
I don't know how old he. What I mean, she's legal, but
yeah.
I don't know how old he was at the time. But I don't know. It's just kind of weird because he's never met her before, and then he's writing the song. I don't know.
She's from Japan.
Yeah, which a lot of this album reinforces the whole thing that we already know about Rivers, that he loves Asian women and he's married to an Asian woman, which is great because that's what he's into.
Is his wife Japanese?
I'm not sure.
Because he talks specifically about Japanese a lot.
Yeah, on the White Album, I think he says something about, or no, I think in Ratitude. Anyway, that's we'll get to there.
In Across the Sea, she's from Japan.
Yeah, I don't think that's who he married though.
Yeah, probably not.
Is that it for Across the Sea?
I think so.
All right, then moving on to the B side of the record, which we have to start off the first fun. I think Why Bother is kind of a fun sounding song, but it's not a fun song. Whereas The Good Life, even though it's slightly like depressing, it's got like a fun swing to it.
Yeah.
And like I feel like I can relate to that one a little bit in that he's singing about feeling like he's an old man, like he doesn't want to be an old man anymore, even though he's realistically, like, I think when this album released he was younger than I am now. But I feel like I'm old, even though I'm not really that old, at least compared to people who are older than me. But the my favorite line in the song is the start of verse 2 when he says, "Screw this crap, I've had it."
I've had it!
I really like that, because
It is fun,
yeah, it's a feel.
It's like, oh, yeah. You know what? I've had it too.
Yeah.
Screw this crap. Yeah, I find it is fun and it's sad. I feel like that goes hand in hand a lot in this album. It feels kind of nostalgic in a way. He's talking about getting back to the good life. I guess he's thinking about good old times that he used to have, so I guess it's kind of a nostalgic feel. But I feel like in the song he's been inhibited from being who he wants to be and just putting himself out there on the dance floor, shaking booty, you know. Like, that's the stuff he wants to do. He doesn't want to be an old man. I feel like he's been inhibited probably by his own anxiety and depression. Maybe he worries about what other people think about him, and he's just like, screw this crap, I've had it. So yeah, it's kind of fun.
Jesse, you got anything for that one?
Not in particular, no. I don't know. He just sounds like a loser. But like,
you're not wrong.
I found in this song, like, I mean, it doesn't really make sense because like what I said really, but I just, when I was listening to it, found his voice just seemed kind of like he like everybody like looked up to him, but like just how he was singing it, which doesn't make any sense with how the song is sung. I don't know. I don't know. And then I don't know. Somebody needs to strip him of his pride in a way. That's how I find most of his songs. I guess it's not just this one in particular. I just don't like his voice. Kind of. I think he thinks he's good, but he's not. Anyway, that's my.
That's actually
opinion.
like, that's very interesting. I'm gonna keep that in mind next time I listen to that song, because that's like the thing about people looking up to him, like, not the thing about his annoying voice. Because I feel like that's one of the things I love about Weezer is that even
He has
though
a terrible voice.
even though he's not a fantastic singer, he doesn't have a great vocal range, he still gives it his all, and he still writes catchy songs, he writes fun songs, and is insanely successful.
I find with a lot of his songs though, he has like usually pretty like decent beats, but his voice just doesn't match him. I think like he has a lot of like rock, it seems like, in his for his music, but for his vocals in that, I think it just doesn't match it at all. Most of the time, also his lyrics don't match it. I think he's just all over the board with it. But hey, who am I to say, right?
Roasted. All right, I think that for El Scorcho, we should open it up with Caleb's thoughts. So since we didn't have him on this episode because of some of the content on the album, he did want to give his thoughts on El Scorcho because it's his favorite. So he has sent me an audio file, which I have not listened to, but I will play for the microphone, and we will start with his thoughts. And then if Jesse, if you want to go after Caleb.
Yeah, I don't have much to say, but I got something.
Because El Scorcho is like amazing, I think. But anyway, here, let's listen to what Caleb has to say about it.
So El Scorcho is my favorite song on the album. It's very different from each other song, I'd say. Pretty much, yeah. It's not like high pitch at the beginning, because like most of their songs on Pinkerton is like a high pitch at the beginning, and then it goes into the song. And this is just different this way, so it's really nice to hear something different. And also like the solo part at the bridge with the guitar is really different. That's what's really cool about it, because it's not like one thing, you know, just a solo playing for the whole time. It's like part of the solo and then like a second later and then another part of the solo. It's really cool how they do it. And I really like the melody for the chorus the most. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably the most unique song on the album for sure.
Probably.
Especially with the way it starts out with the like gargling and stuff. But what are your thoughts on it, Jesse?
Yeah, I was about to say, I was second. But anyway, it is. I do like it a little bit more than the other songs on the album. I guess just because it's catchy enough to just listen to in the background. I would say it's a background song. But like the only good thing in the song really was that they mentioned Green Day. So that was nice. But I don't know. It was alright. I'll say about a 3 out of 10.
Yikes.
Wow.
That's rough.
Don't worry, that's the best one I got.
I'll go last for this one, Steven. You go ahead.
Okay. I really like the chorus for El Scorcho, but that's pretty much the only part I like. I don't really like the sound of the verses or the bridge.
My guy.
I think the bridge almost sounds good. I think they go too hard on the drums and it sounds sloppy. But I think like with a lot of the songs on this album, I think a different instrumental style and it would sound really good. But yeah, and then the song is about him basically being too nervous to talk to his crush, who is Japanese, of course. Well, half Japanese.
Classic Rivers. You rascal.
And like he just fantasizes about being with her, but won't muster up the courage to actually talk to her.
So, the first time I ever heard this song was live, actually. I had never heard this song before the first time that I saw Weezer. I saw them in London, Ontario at, I think it was Rock the Park. And when they played this song, I remember thinking, what on earth are they playing? Because it's not like any of their other stuff. It's not something I had heard before. I wasn't as familiar with them back then. But I was like, what is this nonsense? But now I think it is quirky. I think it's fun. I think it's bizarre. And I think it's unique. I really like how triumphant the chorus is. Like the verses are kind of goofy. And then the chorus is just like this triumphant declaration, like, I'm a lot like you, so please, hello, I'm here, I'm waiting. I think I'd be good for you and you'd be good for me. And like you said, he feels anxious because he thinks they'd be good for each other, but he's too nervous to even try to talk to her. And then like the thing about the bridge too, I get what you're saying with it being like a little bit too much, but I do really like the lyrics in it. That he's overthinking it and he says, how stupid is it? For all I know, you want me to, and maybe you just don't know what to do, and maybe you're scared to say, I'm falling for you. But yeah, so I really like it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a little higher than a 3 out of 10, but that is just my opinion. And everyone's opinion is welcome here on WEEZCAST.
I think it's a pretty relatable song for like everyone who's had a crush and was just too nervous to talk to them. So, how's that going for it?
Yeah. Next is Pink Triangle. Would you care to start that one?
Sure. So in other songs on this album, he talks a lot about either failed relationships or he's wants a relationship but can't seem to get one. In Why Bother, he's pretty much given up on love because he's been hurt twice before and he doesn't even want to try anymore. And then Pink Triangle starts out when he says he's been stable long enough. He goes looking for love, so he's like ready to try again. He wants to put himself out there. He wants to try to seek out love because it's worth it. So he finally tries, and then it turns out she's a lesbian and she's not interested at all, and it's just like this crushing defeat kind of.
Yeah.
Just had his hopes way up here. They were good as married in his mind,
but married in his mind's no good.
No good. So yeah, it's just kind of a defeat song.
Yeah.
But it sounds good. So it's and it's kind of funny at the same time. You know,
yes.
The whole concept of him falling in love with a lesbian without realizing it. And then, so it's like either tragic or comedic or both. But it sounds good enough to listen to again.
Yeah, I don't really understand how he's able to fall for a girl and fantasize about marriage before he finds out she's a lesbian. I'm like, how long did that take? I want some context here. Is he just like somebody who falls head over heels right away, or is he somebody who is just that blind that he can't tell that this woman would kiss another woman before him, you know?
Well, this is the same guy who wrote a song about a girl who wrote him a letter who lives across the sea.
So he obviously fantasizes a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He needs help.
And like he said, I think he says in that song she wouldn't be interested if he was the last girl on Earth.
Yeah.
which is kind of funny. But yeah, like this, the song's humorous, it's catchy. Like a bunch of these songs, though, like the way that he plays the solo, I think there's a lot of emotion in the guitar solo. I felt like listening to it that I could really feel the pain of it more so than in the vocals, unlike a lot of the other songs, where it's more vocal. But yeah, I felt like the solo is very, like, I don't know, it just kind of expresses that that he's upset about it, but also it's kind of funny, I guess. Well, and the other thing that's interesting about it is actually one of my notes on the other song. Never mind.
Okay, is that the next song then?
Yeah.
Falling for You.
So I will start this one just because something that I found really interesting about it that I noticed is he mentions that she left her cello in the basement. So I'm thinking it must be about the same girl that El Scorcho's about. So he eventually did end up dating her, because he says, "You played the cello, baby," and he seems to like really stuck like on the fact that she plays the cello, that he's mentioning it in that song, and then also her leaving it in the basement, and that he's like trying to play it as well, but not doing very good with it. That's all I really have to say about it. Like I think the song doesn't really sound that good.
I noticed the cello part as well. I was thinking, so he has a thing for Japanese girls and cellos. Girls who play cello, maybe. Did you want to say something, Jesse?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
I do not.
This song I found really interesting because it's like he finally has a relationship. He kind of starts the song saying, "Hey, holy cow, I think I found one." And then he says, "But hold up, I have all these concerns." And then the rest of the song, he's basically saying how he either doesn't want to be in this relationship or thinks he shouldn't, but he's falling for her and kind of wants to at the same time. So he's conflicted. I just found that really interesting. I've been in that situation as well. So it's like, I understand just having that being in a relationship where you're conflicted about whether you want to spend the rest of your life with this person or get the heck out of there as soon as possible. Like, that's literally like what he says in the chorus. And also concerning the chorus, I feel like it almost sounds good, but it doesn't. He like changes the key in the middle of it each time.
Yeah, it's like really wonky.
It's like, why does he do that? It almost sounded good.
Almost. You
Rivers,
heard that? Almost.
You were so close.
So close to actually getting.
Gosh darn
okay
your
song.
half good chorus.
Just follow the basic patterns that music is supposed to follow. You know, don't try to change it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It was broken, but he couldn't fix it.
I think he learned that lesson for his next album. His best one.
No. But
We'll see next week.
next up on the list, so we did listen to the vinyl, but we did also listen to the bonus track "Long Time Sunshine" from the deluxe edition because it is one of my favorite songs on it, and I feel like it's a good closer to it. So, but next up is "Butterfly," which would be the end if not for that fact. I think it's a really nice finish to the album in some regards, as opposed to Long Time Sunshine, just because it's really calm, it's acoustic. It really has the feeling, like a sense of, he feels like he's been the problem in any relationship that he's had, and he feels so remorseful and like a total failure because every time he pins down what he thinks he wants, it slips away, and it's like it's his fault. And so he's just like, I don't know. It's another one that listening to it, like, a lot of the time, and this time listening to it, it does kind of pull emotion out of me. Because you can really feel it listening to it. I think, anyway.
Do you have any thoughts on that one, Jesse?
Give me a minute, but you can go.
Okay. This song is one of the saddest songs I've ever heard. I feel like the first time I heard it, I wasn't very impressed because he uses the wrong number of syllables in his verses, or no, in the chorus. Sorry. But this time listening to it, I didn't even notice. I guess it's been a few times, so I was used to it. and I was just more focused on what he was saying and the meaning behind it. And it's very tragic, because it's a metaphor, obviously, for him causing harm in other people's lives without trying to. He was just, like he said, doing what his body told him to, just following whatever he desired or whatever he wanted, not realizing it was going to hurt people really seriously. And he shows very painful regret. And he ended the song saying that he promised he would be back, but he's not coming back, probably because he's recognized the damage that he's done and just doesn't want to do any more, which probably is one factor in a lot of his other failed relationships and anxiety surrounding them.
Yeah. I pretty much just felt like how the song was like displayed. I guess just because it was like just how he sang it and stuff, because he's not very talented. is is like he was performing at a festival, like a talent show or something, and yeah, he was like auditioning, and he was just not it. That it didn't seem like he was very popular, like as popular as Weezer is. Like he wouldn't. I don't know. Weezer is a popular band. Don't get me wrong. I just think that they should definitely not be where they are today. But yeah. Oh.
Just based on Pinkerton, I might agree with you.
Sure. I haven't listened. I know probably 3 songs by Weezer. I can't even recite the ones we just listened to. That's my own fault for being... I don't remember. But yeah, like honestly, I don't really care for them too much, but yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Are you coming back for the Black album or
Oh, I was not invited.
Well,
yet.
We'll see. That's a thought.
If you do, like the other albums, most of them are better than this one. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll listen to more Weezer.
You might
sadly.
Well, let's finish off with. Well, first we got to talk about Long Time Sunshine, and then we'll just do our overall album impressions and our ratings. So Long Time Sunshine, I think it's a nice addition to the album, because for the first time, the entire album, which seems kind of silly then that he cut it out, he seems to be expressing a hopefulness for his future. And he's seeing through all of the sad things that he's been singing about the whole album. So I think that's like really nice to see, because it ends it on a little bit more of a hopeful note, whereas ending on Butterfly kind of like it fits the album well, but Long Time Sunshine kind of brings it up a notch. And also it sounds amazing. I love the piano and the singing and the lyrics. I like the solo version from Rivers' Home Recordings album, Part 1, better. Some of the lyrics are different, and I think it just sounds better. It doesn't have the outro. I like the idea of what they did at the end with mixing lyrics and melodies from the other songs. But it sounds awful. Like,
Yeah.
It sounds awful. Like that, and it's an entire minute long. So that last part of the album, like to end on that, I can kind of see, I feel like he should have just cut that part and had...
Or just done it better.
Maybe. Because it just sounds...
I'm not capable of doing it better.
It sounds awful. And it's hard to finish. Like, whenever that song comes on my playlist, I always skip it once it gets to that part. Or I just listen to the solo version from his home recordings. Because I like it better. What are your thoughts?
I pretty much just felt like yeah, this guy got a lot of regrets in his life, and but he's like not taking action to go through with any of them, and he's like living in a sulking life. I find like he's just depressed now, and then he's like starting to get older, and he talks about like settling down with a girl, but just. And he was also talking about going to like college, but I guess it's kind of like to the point where he's like past that time. I don't know. It just it just felt like in this song he had lots of regrets, and then it was extremely repetitive. So yeah, I think I fell asleep. But yeah,
On our previous episode, Caleb fell asleep. Actually, he was starting to fall asleep during the last song, which is ironically called "Only in Dreams."
Oh.
So maybe next week our next guest will also fall asleep towards the end of the album.
Maybe.
Poor sucker.
This song I felt really happy because this was the first time I heard the song, and I felt really happy when the piano started playing, and I felt like finally the music fits the tone of the album, because this whole time he's been singing like really sad tunes but to heavy rock drums and guitar, and this song finally is just kind of soft piano, which fit so much better. And it reminded me of I Want a Dog on the Winter album, just because it's like the same theme. He's fantasizing about living a simple life, just kind of away from the life he has now, just living in a nice little house with a wife. And it's like a nice thought, and it's kind of sad because it's like, you know, he's not actually going to do that. He's going to continue to release like 20 more albums, which, you know, is fine, but at the same time, it's like that's his dream, and you know that because he's done 2 songs about it already. And I don't know why he doesn't just retire and settle down in a little cottage, but
Well, he is married now.
he is.
He's been married for a long time, actually. But it's nice that he still writes songs of a similar nature
Yeah.
for saps like us.
Yeah, maybe he is happy now. I don't know, but he certainly wasn't at the time he wrote Pinkerton. I also wrote down that the ending just sounded awful, because it really does.
It did.
I think it's maybe it's a good way to end the album because it's similar to a lot of songs on it. How they have a really good idea musically, but simply don't sound like they're executed well. And like maybe if they were just polished more, put together more neatly, it would sound really good. But it's just a lot of it just doesn't seem quite right. Seems a bit sloppy, and I think that detracts majorly from the overall quality of the album.
So, what is your overall thoughts then on the album?
I'm so glad you asked. Aiden told me, that Rivers was asked after releasing OK Human if he would redo another album in that same style with the orchestra. Like what album he would redo if he could, and he said Pinkerton. I believe that's how the story goes. And I agree that if they did that, I think that would be absolutely phenomenal. I think Pinkerton would go up like 5 stars out of 10 if they did it in an orchestral style. And like I said at the beginning about Tired of Sex, the whole album is about love, regret, fantasy, and depression. And all of it is like, what is the point? And where does it end? What's the goal? And I really like that because it really gets down to the nitty gritty of life and how all of it without God is meaningless. And with God, like all of those things just kind of come together and make sense in a way that they're not the end. They're just a season and a path to something better.
And we'll talk about more seasons in later episodes. So,
Like,
so
way in
1
the
to 5,
future.
what is your star rating for this album?
1 to 5, I'm gonna go with 2.7.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it'd be higher for you, but 2.7, eh?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jesse, what are your overall thoughts of the album and your star rating?
And my star rating.
Well, I did not enjoy this. It was pretty boring. I'm not a big fan of Weezer in general, and then for both of you guys to say this is who are Weezer fanboys, especially River whatever, dude. You guys are fans of them. For you guys to say that this is not a good album, And for somebody who dislikes Weezer, you could only imagine how much I hated this. And yeah, I guess I can now, after like your guys' thoughts, I see where the album's direction was kind of, and I understand it more. Still would not recommend to anyone, but I understand. I guess I have an understanding of it.
Okay.
Sure, I'll go with a 2 because there's a couple things like Green Day they mentioned. That was okay. I don't know.
She said she never heard of that.
Well, I have.
How cool is that?
That's better for him.
She's probably thinking, "Oh boy, I hope nobody reads my diary." Too bad she knows Rivers. That little creep. That little weirdo. Anyway, my overall thoughts. It's definitely darker than any of their other albums because dark is not a word that I would use to describe any other Weezer albums, really. It doesn't have any feel-good summer vibey songs, which is one of Weezer's main staples in my opinion, which is a little disappointing. I love the themes. I love a lot of the lyrics. I dislike a lot of the lyrics. But overall, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. So thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, Jesse, for joining us. I did really enjoy hearing your opinions on the songs, even the ones where you were just ripping on them. But
yeah, I don't think I did anything else.
You did have some interesting takes on some of them, and it has given me more to think about. That's one of the things I like about this idea of having a different guest each week, somebody who doesn't even necessarily listen to Weezer, because it gives more insight, I guess. It gives another perspective. So thank you everybody for listening. This has been WEEZCAST.
Yep.
This is Aiden Morton signing off.